This is the moment we waited for. Everything you want is right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Shoot 'em my shot, boy, I'm long range. Me and the team on the same thing. Stayed down, never switched up. Only thing changed was the game. I'm in the zone now. Nothing can change what we on now. When I pull up, know it's going down. Foot on the gas, ain't no slowing down.
Hey, what up, what up, what up? It's your boy Phil All Caps, and I'm here with my guy, Mr. Apollo Reed, aka Mr. Guard Up Knicks. We are waiting for my guy Eru to come through. Ran a little bit late from work. And I will say this, apologies from the get-go. We woke up this morning, and for some reason, our whole internet system that we pay like $180 a month for just not working. Can't connect to nothing, can't do anything, can't visit any websites. So right now I'm hotspotting off of my phone. So if it gets a little bit lag-like and, you know, a little hard to watch, just do me a favor, be gracious, and rock with my guy Apollo till I'm able to bounce back and hop onto the show. Shout out to those in the chat. I see my guy Nostalgic Nick up in the building. My guy Prezi the Boss. Appreciate you guys so much. My guy Fritz is somewhere up in here, probably behind the ones and twos on something, doing something to make sure you guys smash the like button. So shout out to Fritz as well and this whole KOT family. If you guys can, please hit a retweet button. Do me a favor, share this on Twitter, on Instagram, text a friend who can text another friend who can then text 5 friends, and let's blow this thing up because this is playoff time. And the whole reason we do this is because of you guys. So thank you guys for rocking with us. Shout out to Steven for being in the building. We appreciate you, bro. But man, it's a crazy, crazy time right now for the Knicks as we jump into what we've seen these first 2 games and kind of go from there. But before I do, I want to give a shout out real quick to my homegirl, Lanisha. She sent me this dope shirt right here. It says blessed, anointed, and grateful on it. And she gave me a few different ones. It's from her group called My Testimony is Dope. Really, really cool. Love what she's doing. So shout out to her and everybody that, you know, is rocking with her. But let's see. Just a tad lag again, bro. Dang. All right.
The dope shirt, bro.
Dope shirt. Yeah, it is dope. Like, it's real dope. She did it in like 4 different colorways for me and a few hoodies and crew necks. So I'm thankful for what she's doing out there. Shout out to JT Riddick in the building. Apollo, am I still lagging and sounding feedback-ish?
It's just a little loud, a little bit loud. That's it.
A little loud. All right, let me turn it down a little bit. How about that? Does that sound better? Check. Lower. Check.
Lower.
Check.
Why does it seem like it's not moving? That's weird.
Let me see. Hold up. Let me see if maybe there's a setting on here. Let's see. Mic volume. Check. Is that better? Check.
I got a little bit better.
Check.
Getting a little better.
Check.
Yeah, that's better. There you go.
All right. Bet. Yeah, so I'll put the link in there for anyone that's, you know, enjoying the colorway and be able to see what, you know, they're all about there. But I see more of y'all showing up that is always supporting. So I got to thank you so much. Space Ghost, appreciate you so much. But how's the week been for you, Apollo? Outside of Knicks and all that, like what's been going on, bro?
Life's been pretty much throwing a lot of punches recently. So you know, but as a family, we've been parrying pretty well and countering. You know what I mean? So we've been doing. Life's been pretty, you know, up and down. But this week, last week I was dealing with my son. Week before, I mean, and something was going on with something he was dealing with his health, but he's a lot better now in time for our cruise, thank God. So it's been a hectic week, just getting ready for this cruise this weekend. So yeah, pretty much outside of Knicks basketball, it's been cool.
That's good, man. I'm glad he's doing better. I'm glad you guys get to go on a cruise. Where y'all going?
DR, Puerto
Okay.
Rico, and then St. Thomas.
Wow, rough life, bro. Rough
Yeah,
life. Hold up. This is my wife. Let me see what's up. What's up, wifey?
Hey, are you already in the show?
Yep, I'm on the show. You're live right now. Yes, I am. Apollo, say what's up.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on?
You're gonna call me after 8. I'm gonna put you on blast. It's whatever. What's going on? Shut up, Bobby. Wifey's out of town, so
That's
it's
funny.
me and my 7-year-old right now. Wifey
Okay.
and little one went to Florida. But all right, so I want to give another shout out to Lanisha, and my testimony is dope because I was distorted before. So I wanted to make sure that I give them a shout out. It's this shirt right here. It says blessed, anointed, and grateful. I got a ton of different colorways. There's other merch as well on the website, so check it out. I'll put the link in the bio. But bro, you're gonna have so much fun. I just came back from the U.S. Virgin Islands, and St. John, bro, is insane. Like St. John
Yeah.
is gorgeous.
We actually so my wife's family is from St. Thomas. So we're
Okay.
actually gonna like hang out with her grandfather for like the whole time that we're out there. We're gonna get a rental and just ride around with him, go to a beach or two. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And head back to the ship. So, you know, it's a beautiful island. We've been there
Yeah.
before with my oldest, and my youngest didn't get to experience it. So this will be his first time going.
That's what's up. Yeah, we didn't spend much time at St. Thomas besides flying in, because the wedding that I was shooting at was in St. John, and it was so beautiful that we just didn't want to leave, bro. Like we sat on one of the beaches, bro, and it was like the most gorgeous beach I've ever been at. And I live in Florida, you know, so
Yeah.
it was breathtathtaking, bro. Absolutely breathtaking.
I swam in one of the beach, like, you know, in the water. I like to swim, so I actually like left the shore and swam a little bit, but it started to get dark under me, so I turned around.
That's the thing, bro. It's like you never know. We did this little like kayaking thing and had like tarpon or swimming under the boat, but those things were huge. They would hit our boat and you would just hear it start to vibrate and echo. And I was just like, bro, like if this is the size of the tarpon here, I don't want to see any of the fish that are actually aggressive. Like I just can't even think of that. So, but yeah, man, let's get into, you know, some of the stuff that, you know, we can talk about. It's been a little while, but you know, last game, not this one that we just took the L at, but the first one. What were your thoughts on the first game against the Pistons?
I was I'm glad I didn't jump on Twitter right away, but it was up and down emotions. You know, a lot of stuff just didn't look great for the first 3 quarters. I mean, we stayed in the game, which is something that I didn't get too upset about, but I was upset that we were in the game with them at all. But you know, I got to give the Pistons credit. They made us work, and then that 21-0 run. If it wasn't for that 21-0 run, I'm questioning the kind of conversations we're having right now. You know what I mean? Because we were down before that run. So if that run never happened, which, you know, I don't no need to speak in hypotheticals, but you know, then you're down 0-2. You know what I mean? And that's something that I don't want to see us do again.
Yeah,
we kind of made those same mistakes in the second game and then just didn't get hot like we did the first game. So, you know, I want to see something different. You know what I mean? But first game, just talking about the first game, I'm glad we were able to pull out a victory and get hot. And I credit Tibs for sticking with the lineup that got us there and continue the ball rolling. But game 2 is a different story.
Yeah. So for game 1, I actually do want to talk about all the freaking hypotheticals, because the hypotheticals is where the truth is. You know, the fact that we came in, especially with a huge portion of this fan base, like, yeah, who's really afraid of the Pistons? Anyone afraid of the Pistons is ridiculous in this fan base. Like, are you crazy? Da-da-da-da-da. We're the Knicks. We're the Knicks. And it took a miraculous fourth quarter for us to win that game. It took Campaign, you know, balling out of his mind, you know, to play that well in that quarter. It took a lot of things to go right. And that's concerning from the get-go. Like
Right.
game one in the Garden, like we talked about, in our pre-playoff show, we talked about how important it was to get behind the eight ball in these first two games at MSG. In the first one, we almost lose to the Pistons. And in the second game, we then do. So we got to talk the hypotheticals, because based off of the way that we played, we shouldn't have even won that first game. And we definitely shouldn't and didn't win that second game. And so it was at a point where I was like, yo, I'm thankful for, Tibbs' coaching on this one. He was impressive, this, that, and whatever. But I was not impressed by, that in this next game against the Pistons. So for me, we got to talk hypotheticals, because that's where the actual realness of it all is. Because it should have never been that close in that first game.
You sound perfect. You sound perfect, by the way.
Cool. Yeah, I did like a million things behind the scenes because I don't know what's going on. Hopefully it stays this way this time. But yeah, that first game, what was disheartening because of what we allowed to happen. We allowed Tobias Harris to get 25 points. Like, here's the thing about our fan base is we talk so much crap and we're like, who's their second scorer? Like, let's be real. All they have is Cade Cunningham. They have no scoring capabilities. And then we let Tobias Harris pull out 25 points in game one. Like, are we for real here? Like we're talking about, how there's no scorer behind him, and then Cade Cunningham gets 21, but Tobias gets 25. And then we also let Beasley get 20 and Hardaway to get 19. We can't talk about how they don't have any scorers, and then we allow them to be scorers. Right. And so that was really, really frustrating in that first game. The bright sides of it were, like I said, it looked like Tibbs actually coached well in that game. In that, final stretch, OG Anunoby was able to put up 23, which I was like, yo, we need OG to play offensively when we get into, the playoffs like he did when Brunson was gone. So that was a glimmer of hope, seeing how he played in that game. But Cat, was just okay with 23. Josh Hart could have done better. I just didn't see a lot of promise in that first game. And that's when everyone was like, yo, you're overanalyzing. It's going to be fine. Game two, you're going to see it was just a fluke. It is what it is. But then game two comes and it's not much of a different story, except that the ending is that we lost. And a lot of it came to, in my opinion, and people are going to, vary on what they think here. I think a lot of it falls on Jalen Brunson. Mm-hmm. And that's my thoughts. I love, the captain. I think he's great. But at the end of the day, I'm going to say a lot of this falls on Jalen Brunson. People are looking at his 37 points and 7 assists and like, how can you hate? And I'm like, because down the stretch when it mattered, he was not looking to win the game any other way than by himself. Like, he did not care who was on the court with him. It could have been freaking Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, and Kevin Garnett. And he still would have tried to do it all by himself, even when he was missing every single shot. So for me, I had a huge problem with the way Brunson tackled that second half of the game. What are your thoughts on that? Because some people are like, no, it's not his fault. It's everyone else's fault. Where do you fall on that spectrum?
I think everybody could get the hands. As far as I'm concerned, everybody included is responsible. You know what I mean? I think everyone included. Everybody plays their own part. I think coach shouldn't have let it happen. I think the captain should have took himself down a little bit and realized that there were other people on your team that you can play, especially another all-star that you have on the team. And it's also on Cat to be more aggressive and call for the ball. You know what I mean? Like, you got to actually put yourself in position and say, give me the ball sometimes. So I think the blame goes to everybody personally. You know what I mean? But I give Jalen respect because he does take responsibility when he does make a I can't say because I didn't have a problem with what Jalen did. It's just when he did it. You know what I'm saying? Like usually when he needs to play hero ball, it's needed. It's just at certain times in the fourth quarter, you just didn't need to do it. You know, I think he was trying to get a lot of foul calls for focusing on his battle with the refs more than his teammates. And I think once he got that in his head and trying to foul out certain guys, you know what I mean? I think that kind of played into it. But at the end of the day, like I said, as your teammate and a fellow all-star who also started in the all-star game, I have to say something. You know what I'm saying? Like it's on me. Like, yes, this is your team. You are the captain, but yo, wake up. Come on. Let's go. Let's get it together. And I feel like every team should have like pineapples, you know what I'm saying? Like a code word that's like, yo, like I'm not trying to get at you, but bro, wake the hell up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Because sometimes you need to be approached in a way where you first of all, you have to be approachable. That's number one. And I think Jalen is very approachable, which is why I do give some of the blame on to the coach and to Cat, because I feel like if you said something to Jalen would have been like, all right, cool, let's do it. So I like I said, I think the blame goes to everyone. I'm not gonna give blame to one person, but like I said, I think everybody can get a little bit.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. I'll bounce off of that in a second. I want to give a shout out to everyone in the chat. Got my guy Nick Yak in the building talking about Orlando giving Celtics trouble down 3 at half. Yo, I hope the Magic get an upset. Like, I would love to see the Magic upset the Celtics in this series. Shout out to my guy Bones. Appreciate you. New York forever. Ally, what up? What up? Mr. Casual Thoughts on New York sports. Appreciate you being in the building. Loving the conversations that I'm hearing. Shout out to the predicate. Y'all trying to blame the only player who can score in a phone booth, and no other player in the Knicks starting lineup can do that.
I'm blaming everybody. Everybody got it.
I'm blaming everybody. I'm disagreeing with that take for sure. But I appreciate your thoughts on that. What I will say is that I was looking at an interview by with Carmelo, and Melo kind of had similar thoughts to you. I don't know what's going on with everything's going crazy on my set.
It dropped down. The volume dropped down a tad too. So if you can drop it. You can raise it a little bit if you want. I understand if you don't want to mess with it too much.
Check.
That's perfect, right there.
All right. Melo, I feel like Melo said it best. He was talking about how JB needs to utilize his guys. Like, if you look at earlier in the season and how effective the pick and pop was, there should be no reason why, he's not looking to do that, and no reason why he's not trying to get Cat more involved. And so the problem for me with JB is not that he wants to be clutch, because he is, and he's our captain. But when he gets head down mentality and he's not looking at the court and the rest of the guys, that's an issue. And when you're not watching how the game was going before you came in, like when it was those minutes with Cat and Mitch, Cat was bullying Tobias Harris play after play. Like, he was playing some bully ball on Harris and being efficient with those shots, So for me, you got to utilize what you have. And if you see that it's effective, I feel like you have to take blame for not doing it. Yo, my camera's going crazy, everything. Y'all give me a second.
That happens.
But so Melo was, tossing the blame at Brunson, but then he was also tossing the blame at Cat, because he's like, yo, you're Cat, demand it, don't just allow it, demand it. Like, tell him, like, no, I need the ball. Like, let me do something here. And so, I agree with that. I feel like Cat has to be a little more dominant when he realizes what he can do, especially if you are getting paid what you're getting paid, and you saw how efficient you were, in those other moments. But it's a tandem. Both of those guys need to realize that they don't have to be Superman. They can utilize their skill sets and build off of that. And then third, he blamed Tibs. And this is huge for me. He said, if you know that this is best, you need to coach it. Like, you need to make sure that you're coaching for these things to happen. And, I completely agree. Like, you can't expect something to just happen because you think it should. As the coach, if Jalen Brunson's not getting Cat involved, you call a timeout and you reorganize the team and say, yo, we need to get this going again, Or if Cat's no longer being dominant and calling for it just because Jalen's out on the court, Tibs needs to do something,
Mm-hmm.
And Steven's got a great point. Tibs doesn't draw up plays. That's why I blame Tibs, sucking at drawing up plays, because that's where in the clutch it should not just be let's see what happens, because we saw how that was not working out at all in that game. And so I'm frustrated with all three of them. But this is where I also have a question for you, because you had a great point about like Jaylen will take the critique. But one thing that we talked about Tibs when we had Randall was that when it's the main guy, Tibs doesn't really hold you accountable. Like, it's like he doesn't want to ruffle the feathers on the main guy. And is that an issue that we might be seeing here too? Like, does Tibs see this as an issue, but not willing to speak up or do anything about it? Like, I just don't understand how these many players can see that that's an issue and it still continue. That's what baffles me.
So, I just want to address Predicate. I think he thinks that we're blaming Brunson. I'm like I said, I'm casting blame to everybody. There's no way you've made it this far and you're in the NBA and you're in the playoffs at this position, and you didn't realize that Cat didn't take any shots in the fourth quarter at all. That's something that you have to realize as a point guard, as the leader on the team. So yes, there is some blame. I'm not saying that he shouldn't shoot the ball. I've never said he shouldn't shoot the ball. It's just decision-making and getting into his head about the matchup and the refs and the fouls more than let's just win the game. And like I said, it starts with the coach. I've said it all week, ever since the second game. Everyone is to blame, but it's a top-down issue. You know what I'm saying? There's no way that a lot of coaches, I'm going to say a lot of coaches in the league, would have saw what was going down in the fourth quarter and just let it rock the way Tibs did. You know what I'm saying? And it's just very frustrating. Mikal as well. Mikal, you got to hit the shots when you're supposed to. Mikal actually had a pretty decent game until missing those open threes. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so, like I said, everyone can get the blame for it. Like, as the captain, you have to take blame. That's literally what the badge means. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to take the responsibility of what's going on. But at the end of the day, it starts with Tibs. It starts with Tibs. I don't want to be one of those guys that's like, hey, Tibs got to go, like pitchforks and all that. And I think things happen the way they're supposed to. And I think the universe will allow those things to happen. And I'm not going to put that kind of energy out there. But like I said last show, I love Tibs for what he has done. But I'm just wondering how much more he can get out of this team. You know what I'm saying? I think we might have seen the most we can get out of this team with Tibs as our coach. And that's where I can't blame him for every single thing. But at the end of the day, it is your responsibility to not allow what we saw happen.
And this is what I want to say to Predicate. Like, you're coming onto a show of guys who are huge fans of Jalen Brunson, that have supported Jalen Brunson since the moment he got here. But no one is above critique. Like, if you're in the game and you're doing something that needs to be corrected, you need to be corrected. Like, at the end of the day, like, yes, you're talking about, we're down 15 at home. Somebody got to be aggressive. Yes. But if you're aggressive and predictable, and they're already like causing you to take really hard shots and you're missing those hard shots, the more you continue to be predictable, the harder it's going to be. If they know like that Cat has not shot and that you're most likely going to shoot it again, it's going to make it harder on you. So for me, yes, be aggressive, but aggression alone is not going to win you a game. Like, you have to use aggression and discernment at the same time. And so, like, for me, like, if I look, Jaylen didn't have a great shooting night at all. He was 12 for 27. Like, so it's not like he was shooting 50-60% from the night and you're just like, yo, his aggression was turning over great numbers. Like, no, like, his aggression wasn't necessarily getting us what we needed. If his aggression was that valuable in that game, we would have never been that close to where those last few shots mattered so much.
And I have no problem pointing out critiques about Jalen Brunson, because Jalen Brunson will be the first one to say, yo, I fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Like, he'll be the first one to say it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even in the post game, he was the first one to say, like, yo, that I messed up on that rotation on Dennis Schroeder on that switch. So for that open three. You know what I'm saying? But if we say it, oh, you're attacking him. No, bro, it's basketball. We saw what was wrong with it. You just got to adjust it. That's literally all we're saying. I'm not blaming Brunson. I'm not asking for us to trade Brunson. Not every single time somebody says something that's not positive doesn't mean that we want the guy going or we don't like him or we don't appreciate what he's doing. I want Brunson to play the way he played, but just incorporate your teammates. That's it. That's all. That's literally all.
Here's the thing.
And you other mother effers on that damn starting lineup need to step up too. You know what I'm saying? I'm not just blaming Jalen Brunson, but you know what I'm saying? In certain moments, you guys got to be able to be there. And I just want McCall to go to the line. You know what I'm saying? Like, get to the basket, get a bump. Sometimes I feel like he's too scared to draw contact. I wonder how much more he can contribute to the team if he would just get a bump every now and then and give you like 6 free throws a game. Like, just give me 6. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, that's another point.
Yeah. And, at the end of the day, I see people talking about, but if McHale would have hit that 3, it would have tied the game up, this, that, whatever. But you got to remember, we were down 3 because of a missed free throw from Jaylen. Like, so critique can happen because he's great. He's my favorite Knick, but he's not above accountability. He's not above poor, selfish decisions. And at the end of the day, there's so many things that we are underutilizing. Like, someone had a great point, when we talk about Jaylen, Jaylen can cause, himself to be able to get the shot that he wants and maneuver and fancy footwork, but he's also really good at catching and shooting, so when we have those moments where Cat is in there, we should have some plays every quarter where we and get Jalen Brunson easy shots, not contested and, having to get hurt and having to, cause, contact in order to get those buckets. Like, we should try to look for the easiest shot. And our problem is not that our guys are not good. It's that our offense is so freaking predictable. Like, our offense is predictable. Like, here's the thing. When you go up against a team like Boston, everyone uses ISO in the playoffs. Correct. But with Boston, you could catch an ISO from Jason Tatum. You can catch an ISO from Jaylen Brown. You can catch an ISO from Kristaps Porzingis. And if it's a good night, you can catch an ISO from Jrue Holiday. So it keeps you guessing because all 4 of those guys are going to be involved in the offensive play. Right. And even with the bench, Pritchard can catch you off guard in an ISO. So their guys keep you guessing so that it's not just, Jalen Brunson ISO. Jalen Brunson ISO. Right. That makes it more predictable, especially in a quarter like yesterday where they knew that that's what was going to happen. So I'm not saying that Jaylen shouldn't ISO. I'm just saying Jaylen should not be our sole ISO, especially in a fourth quarter where we are back up against the wall against the team that we by definition should not have our backs up against the wall on. So I think my whole thing is from the top down, the coach needs to be saying, everybody needs to be doing something. Like, everybody needs to be doing something. And I'm sorry if most guys are starting to get cold and then you throw McHale the 3. Yeah, he was open, but most guys weren't getting a lot of offensive rhythm in that fourth quarter. It was a lot of Brunson. So y'all put a lot of pressure on a guy, to be like, yo, he missed that 3. Yes, he did. But what was he doing more than cardio up until that point in the fourth quarter? No,
Yeah.
So you got to look at it all ways, and not just to throw Jaylen under the bus. Like we said, other people, have to take that responsibility. Cat should have the authority within himself to say, "Yo, give me the ball, step back," and
1,000%.
not allow Brunson to always say, "Hey, step back," because there were some times where Brunson shoot him off, and I think he should have stepped up and been like, "No, bro, like this is me," So
I got Tobias on me.
exactly, I got Harris on me. We need to do something here. But real quick, this is the part where we got into a little bit of the whiskey talk. Finally, Apollo sent me his stuff, so I'm cleaning those tomorrow and loading him up with a bunch of whiskey. But this one is going to be solely for me. I want to give a shout out to ASW Distillery for hooking me up with this bottle. They're here in Atlanta. Went and spent some time with one of the guys. It's actually really funny. When I started doing all the whiskey content, I got added by one of their distillers who actually used to come out to my hip hop shows when I used to travel through his town and perform. And now we're both in the whiskey world. So he had me out and gave me a box load of bottles to be able to have and promote. But this right here is called the Soloist, and it is absolutely delicious. I'm still going to send you a sample of this because I think you deserve it, Mr. Apollo.
Appreciate you, man.
I got these a little too late, but this one is crazy. So this is 100 proof, and it is a straight bourbon whiskey, and it's incredible. So it's 56% corn, 17% malted barley, 14% malted wheat, and 13% malted rye. It's aged for about 6 years and has some time in some char barrels. And the nose on it is crazy, bro. Like straight up, it's like smelling hot cocoa. Like you walk in on a real freaking cold night and you smell the hot cocoa and you're like, yep. And then in the same room next to the hot cocoa for those kids, there's hot coffee being made. And it's just like not that cheap, like, got it at the grocery store for $2.99, but like freshly ground, just opened up the bag, brewed some espresso. So you got chocolate notes, you got espresso notes. It's like walking into the best coffee shop. And then the taste is even better, bro. Like straight up, it's like chocolate, but not like that Nesquik artificial chocolate. But like if you took like chocolate from overseas, because their chocolate is pure and delicious compared to our processed chocolate, and you melted that down into like liquid form and put that in like an espresso martini with some freaking dope high-end quality espresso with a little bit of like that spice from the rye. That spice comes from the malted rye. And then there's little hints of cinnamon, little hints of leather, and it is absolutely incredible. Like seriously, this is a bottle that I would tell anybody, if you can get your hands on, please do. Like it is absolutely delicious. I'm checking on the price right now. I don't think it's astronomical. I think it is, what does this go for? It goes for about $65, 60 to 65. But it is absolutely incredible. And I would probably put this in one of my like top 10 pours that I've had over the last like 2-3 months because it's just so delicious. So smooth. But let's read some of the things from the chat right now. Once again, that's ASW Distillery. If you are a whiskey fan or willing to try and see if you are a whiskey fan, please give them a follow on Instagram. Tell them your boys at the Knicks Nightcap sent you. But let's see what we got here. Is the solution played through Cat or replicating what Detroit is doing and put, say, Wright in so someone can run the offense and JB can play off the ball? Here's the thing. In my opinion, I'll answer and then I'll throw it to Paulo. I don't see Jaylen taking second fiddle to Delon Wright. Like, I just don't see that happening. Like, I can see him playing the 2 or playing off ball if Cat was running the offense and we were going through Cat, but I don't see Jalen Brunson and I don't see the coach having the offense run through Delon Wright. What are your thoughts there, Apollo?
I don't think we're going to see that kind of adjustment. I think if anything, we just tweak some things and just keep everybody focused. I don't think that they're going to force feed Cat. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's even what he wants. I think that he just wants to be included. You know what I'm saying? To even make plays, because I don't think it wasn't that he didn't get the ball. He did pass up some shots. You know what I'm saying? He just didn't take any shots that quarter. So you just got to be a little bit more aggressive in the play calling for him, and mainly in positions where he can be effective. You know what I'm saying? I don't like when Cat's in a high post. It takes him it's too many dribbles for him to get to the basket, and by then people collapse. So, just putting them in the right spots in certain situations, running the 1-5 pick and roll. You do have that pick and roll threat to because JB's gonna cook whoever's really on him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just say run that screen and roll and just see what you can get, but it doesn't have to be every single play. I think Jaylen is going to rebound pretty well because he typically does. You know what I mean? Which is why I think we definitely will win this game, even though it's the first game in Detroit. It's just, we had to get through some bumps. We got through the first game, and I think there were some things that because we won, we didn't correct. So I think it came back around and bit us in the ass the second game. So, we just got to focus up and just play the way we're supposed to play.
Yeah. All right. We'll move on to Steven's comment. He said the reason OKC has so much success is because they all play for each other and move around and get everyone involved. I agree, bro. I've been saying all season. I said it since last season and even the season before. The way this New York Knicks organization is run, if we do not get 30 plus assists, it is going to be a very, 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 very hard game for us to win.
Yep.
Because that's just how predictable our offense can be. And we need to be able to get everybody else involved. You want to hear a crazy stat? You're going to love this. How many assists did we get in that fourth quarter of that first game where we came back?
How many did we finish the game with?
I think like 29 or something, maybe like that.
I'm gonna say 11.
All right, we'll pull it up to confirm what I'm thinking here.
Maybe I overshot it, but
game.
Why not?
Hold up. So that was, what day was that game? Saturday. That first game, yeah, Saturday.
The first game was Saturday, yeah.
All right. So in that fourth quarter, so the whole game we ended with 26. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In the first half, we had 11 assists in that first half. Mm-hmm. And then in that fourth quarter, we ended up with 11 assists. And you were very right. In that second half, we ended with 15 assists. Wow. In total. So 15 assists in the second half. And that's when we came back, was when the Brock was moving. You know how many assists we had for the whole game in game 2?
What was it, 12?
15. The same amount that we had in the second half when we came back in game 1. So anytime the ball stops moving with this New York Knicks team, those are possible outcomes, is that game that we saw. Yeah. You got the amount of assists in 4 quarters that you did in 2 quarters in that last game. And you strayed away from what helped us to come back and win. So I agree. Moving the ball is what matters. And I really feel like if we get back to that, we can win this. But I said if we get stagnant and we do not involve each other, we could have a first round upset. Like it could be something that slaps us in the face and we go, holy crap, this is a horrible way to go. Mm-hmm. And then right here, Tehran, Cat got to go to the 4 position. I agree. Like, I think excuses are done. We need Mitch to play more. Like, I don't understand how Mitch's time is still as limited as it is when we've seen that his minutes, even with Cat, are effective minutes. So I think if we're going to stand a chance to win this series, we need more Cat time and more Mitch time together. And I agree. You know, predicate. This is something we both agree on. Thank you. We need more Cat and Tibs minutes. I mean, more Cat and Mitch minutes. But for some reason, Tibs is not doing it. And I don't even know. Like, I don't even know what to do about that, to be honest. Just Knicks, appreciate you. Salute. Thank you for coming through. Let's see. I believe Jalen Wright will see anything. Let's see. You see any comments that you're like, yo, let's point this one out?
Let's see.
Carter and Intellect, appreciate you.
My guy Izzy, what's going on? This is a good point here. Like I was gonna click. Oh, no, that's not the one I was gonna click. This guy. This is a good one right here. Mitch probably isn't conditioned for more minutes, and that's I think a possibility. But I also was hoping that at this point, you know what I'm saying, that he would be able to do it. You know what I'm saying, especially because this is when it counts. You know what I mean? Like when else do you have the opportunity to go to it and use it to help you actually win? Because you know it's do or die at this point. You know what I'm saying? You might not bring back Mitch next year, so just get it. Win is win or go home. You know what I mean?
Here's the thing. I don't want that excuse that he's not conditioned for more minutes. Okay. When a guy was supposed to come back in January, then pushed to February, then pushed to March, then pushed, like what are we pushing to? You can't tell me and give me the whole, oh, we didn't need to make a trade at the trade deadline. Mitch was our trade at the trade deadline, getting him back. You're going to put all those eggs in the basket for 18 minutes in a playoff game? Like, no, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry. If it means that, he does a little less cardio and just stands in the paint, on the defensive end, I don't really care. Like, he's got to do something. Like, he's got to be part of this playoff run, or why did we keep him? Like, what is the point of having him if that's not what we were, banking on? So I'm not cool with that. I think if Mitch has any chance of wearing an orange and blue jersey after this season, we need to see something in the playoffs. And we need to see something now. People are like, oh, well, maybe Tibs is saving them for second, third round. Well, we might not see the second, third round if we play the way that we played this last game. So to me, I'm not holding nothing back. Shout out to Predicate. Once again, coach is stubborn. He is. And that's why I'm over it. Like, I'm very thankful for everything that he's done. I'm thankful for what he was able to bring this Knicks organization to, but I'm also ready to move on and keep going. And then I agree here. Brunson mostly hurts the team when he plays hero ball. Too much talent around Brunson for him to play this much hero ball. It's a major disrespect by him to the team and to the fans. And here's the thing, is Jalen Brunson is best when he doesn't play hero ball. Like, Jalen Brunson is incredible, but he doesn't have to work so hard when other people are afraid of his teammates. Like, we saw how our organization, how our team can move the ball in Brunson's absence. And we saw Mikhail have really great games. We saw OG have absolutely incredible games. We saw Cat have good games. I want all that to be able to happen alongside Jalen Brunson. Right. Like, and is there something to it? What are your thoughts, Apollo? Is there something to players getting cold when they're not utilized as much as they were previously?
Absolutely. I mean, it's just like anything. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't, I don't want to try to make a bullshit analogy at this point, but just getting to the facts of it. If I'm in the game and I don't have rhythm, because we see Jalen Brunson when he misses shots, and a lot of times we say he's just not in rhythm. And when the ball's going in because he's in rhythm. So does that rule not apply to everybody? Does it only apply to the stars? You know what I'm saying? Like it's and I feel like that gets lost a lot in basketball. How much guys give like, yo, this guy, we give him shots, he misses open shots all the time, and it's like, yo, if you don't get the ball often enough throughout the game, there will be some time where you have to warm up. Now, if you're taking 1-3 every quarter, chances are you're not going to be hitting those at a high clip. You know what I mean? So things happen. I'm not making excuses for him, but yeah, there is something to all of it. I think all of it, like I said, I'm not casting blame on Jaylen, but I think all of it bunches together. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't have certain games where you don't. First of all, at this point, not even just the rhythm. The team has adjusted to you taking on the responsibility of taking us to the next, to the victory, hopefully. So that's the energy now. When you have started to play a certain way and you're not passing and getting everybody involved, and you're just continuing to shoot, and you're the captain. They're not. No one's gonna yell at you. They're gonna do exactly what you're asking them to do. So I do think there's something to it. You got to be in rhythm to make shots a lot, unless you're just a high percentage shooter. Like we don't have a Steve Novak just waiting for threes all day. So Mikal Bridges, he did miss some crucial shots, but like I said, throughout the game, he wasn't terrible. It's just when we needed the shots, he didn't make them. But let's be real, like not a lot of people outside of Jaylen took a lot of shots in the fourth quarter. But like I said before, Cat being in there, I think Cat played every minute of the fourth quarter. On top of that, so I don't know. There has to be some adjustments made. For sure.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I feel like there's no denying Jalen's talent. I absolutely think he's absolutely incredible. Like he just won Clutch Player of the Year, so shout out to him for an amazing award.
Shout out to him.
But a lot of times, what I see, which I want to see more of, from our leader, is I've seen on other teams where a player will have the ball and they're kind of like hesitant, and the guy's like, no, go shoot that, get to that spot, shoot that, and they try to find a way to empower their guys, throughout the game. And so, this is a great point right here. Shout out to Jelani Sinclair. He said, when JB is moving the ball, the defense collapses. That is the good version of hero ball. Yes, because Jaylen, when he's moving without the ball, is going to cause people to still have to track him down. Like, because they don't want him to get the ball with any, flexibility, any leeway. So his version of hero ball makes the offense stagnant, and we don't need that. We need to move. And I agree. I understand the game slows down, but when the game slows down and becomes too predictable, there's an issue. If we ISO Jaylen enough, he needs some work in the pinch post, not just off the pick and roll. What's Brunson playoff averages this year? 48% after a 2-for-12 start. Brunson is 8th in the league for assists per game. He just needs to put that mindset first instead of hero ball. Yeah, that's a great point. We know he can do it. And he's very good at it. Like he's got some really great eyes, to be able to find people when even me looking at the screen, I don't see it. But that's a power you have to use. I could be, bilingual in and go to the Dominican Republic. But if I choose to only speak English to every single person and then act like crap, it's not working for me. Well, I know how to speak the other language. Why am I not doing it? Only I'm to blame. I know what's in my pocket. So that once again, though, that doesn't remove the confidence we need to see from Karl-Anthony Towns. Like he's a vet. He's got, experience, and he needs to start speaking up. But we also need a little bit of toughness on this court. Like when we're letting Dennis Schroeder, do what he wants and then kind of be arrogant and prideful, someone needs to remind homeboy that he walked away from how many million to go sign to the Lakers again for, 1/10 of the portion. Like, how are you going to let guys like that in their career, have the pride and arrogance on the court and the toughness? Our guys kind of need to step up. I'm just not seeing it. And when I look at some of these games around the league and I'm seeing, some of these teams fight really hard and overcome, I'm like, man, when do we turn that knob? Like, when do we put it into that next gear? Because I don't feel like we're doing that. Like, I don't feel like we're playing like this could be the end. You know what I mean? Like playing this as it's a regular season game, it feels like sometimes, like the next gear hasn't clicked yet. Am I the only one that's feeling that way?
Yeah, it just I don't know, man. It's something that's just off. Like, it just I actually got caught up reading the comments. There was a good comment from Tune here. It actually said at the same time when Brunson is working and cooking, nobody is moving. Everyone just sits and watches like they're in the stands. And that sometimes has been something I've seen since the Melo days. You know what I mean? Like, you have a top-notch ISO scorer and everyone becomes a fan, including your teammates. You know what I'm saying? And to me, I think it's very easy to fall into that trap when you're on the court with someone. I've been on the court with someone who was very, very good before, and I'm watching them play. I'm not even cutting backdoor. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just standing there like, oh, that's a good ass move. So I think there needs to be coaching in off-ball movement. You know what I mean? And that's something that I mentioned before about the triangle that I did love, which I can't believe I mentioned the triangle in 2025. I'm not saying that we should go to the triangle, but I'm just showing my age a little bit. But the reason why I did love the triangle was not because you had Jordan or Kobe running a triangle. It was the off-ball movement. If there's action on this side, there's action on the other side with nobody having the ball in their hands. Because they're always, you have to make the defense work. If the defense is not moving, it's easier for them to react to anything. They can get in, passing lane steals and all kinds of things because you're not moving. If no one's moving, then there's not going to be, anything to make the defense believe that there's something actually happening. So yeah, it's going to be a lot easier for Jaylen to get into these situations where he drives to the basket and 3-4 guys are on top of him now. Pause. You know what I'm saying? But now no one's moving. Everybody's standing at the 3-point line. And it's just like, where's the movement? Where's the cuts? You know what I mean? Mid-range or something, the off-ball picks, the screen, something. Like, there has to be some kind of something going on in those moments where it's not just an ISO. So, and that, like I said, it's not Jalen's fault. Jaylen can't make somebody move off ball while he's dribbling the ball. You know what I mean? That has to be coaching in some form of fashion. But that's something I've always felt that's always bothered me since, like I said, since the Melo days, is I'm watching these other guys on the team just stand and watch the guy play ISO ball. Like, why is there no action off ball?
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I don't know, man. I see some of the comments that are like, yo, all the point guards are, struggling in the playoffs. I'm not necessarily seeing that. I'm seeing good games from Steph. I'm seeing good games from Jamal Murray. I'm seeing freaking Tyrese Halliburton taking, the Indiana Pacers 2-0 against the Bucks, and I'm seeing, Luka, have a great game to bring them back to tie the series 1-1. So I'm not necessarily going to say that, oh, it's the point guard thing. Like, no, I think certain players are struggling throughout the league. And I think it's based off of how they're playing the game, not their position.
Right.
Let's see. Did JB tell you? Let's see. Brunson hates Cat. I'm not going to go with those kind of narratives. I will say it is weird to me when I think it was Tommy Beer posted stats about how many passes Jalen Brunson gives to each player on average and throughout the season. And the amount of passes that he gives to Cat was the least amount of anybody in the starting lineup. So I do find numbers like that a little bit weird. You know, to know that he's passing more to Josh Hart, who I don't always want Hart to have the ball, you know, like when we need points, especially. So I do think it's a little bit weird of a stat to see when he posted how little they get Cat the ball when it's in Brunson's hands. But all I'm saying is it just doesn't make sense to me right now why Cat was not more involved. Like you look at who his defensive person was throughout the game, especially when you get Mitch out there, and he's going up against Tobias Harris. That to me is just guaranteed buckets. Like, what the frick are we doing? Like, people talk about how Jaylen tries to play with his food when he's got, you know, defenders who are taller than him and, you know, can play him pretty decently. The only person that should really be playing with their food is Karl Anthony Towns. Karl should be like hitting shot after shot after shot and just running it up like a scene from Space Jam against Tobias Harris. But without further ado, our guy, Mr. Diehard.
What's good, guys, man?
My God.
What's up?
Yeah, fresh off a 14-hour day, man.
Holy
what?
frick.
Fresh off of what?
14-hour day. 14-hour day today. Not because I wanted to.
Let me borrow about 20 hours to the mall. Stop.
I hear you guys talking about Cat, man. That's like the talk of the town right now.
Well, we're talking about everything.
No,
a lot of it's been about Brunson though. Like and you know his fourth quarter heroics that didn't hero very well at all in that last game. We were just talking about how, you know, Cat got no touches, and yes, he needs to demand the ball, but we're also putting the leadership, you know, of how that offense runs through Brunson's hands, you know. And so if you have something at your something at your, you know, what is the word? Something at your like, yeah, something at your disposal, and you don't use it. Like, is it that thing's fault or is it yours for not using it? You know. Right. So, what are your thoughts on that fourth quarter? Like, for me, if I'm straight up in a fight, right, and these dudes are huge, and I'm coming in at 5'5", 36 pounds, and I'm looking around, and I see a homie that's like 6'8", 220. I'm hollering at my guy, you know, like I'm using at my fingers, you know, like I ain't fighting that battle alone. Like, you know, you're fighting me and my homie, you know. To me, it's just weird, you know, what I saw in the fourth.
Right. Yeah,
you got to bring out the big guns, man. You know, what's the point of having a home invasion? They literally, the Detroit is literally invading MSG. That's our home, and we have a shotgun sitting right over top of our bed, and we decided to come out there with like a nail clipper. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't understand it. You know, but I mean, systematically throughout the entire year, I feel like we didn't. Like, I feel like this whole season has been like an extended training camp because we had so many different looks this year, you know. So at this point now, entering the playoffs, like we should have like because every team has it. Every team has a method of getting buckets. Like you know where all the teams are getting their buckets from. Like this guy Curry is not just getting buckets, you know, just because he's nice. Yeah, he is, you know, but there's things in place that they put, you know, to help him get free. And then not only just for a place to help him get free, but everybody understands what's happening. You know, right now, if the Knicks were to give the Cat the ball, everybody's going to be looking like, okay, well, we never did that. Or we haven't done this all year. So what's going to happen? Where should I stand? Should I cut? What's going on here? You know, because I mean, we haven't really given the ball to Cat and told him to get buckets. You know, it's really just he gets the ball, he turns around and he starts doing this. You know, looking to pass the ball and stuff. So that's you know, it's frustrating, man. But and you know, at the same token, man, then it's a 7-game series, so there's time to regroup. You know, the Knicks could look at tape. You know, that's what they paid Tom Thibodeau for. You know, they pay coaching staffs and all this for that. So they can get it together. They can figure out what they're missing. And like it's happened before the season too, where Cats had like little droughts, And out of nowhere he'll bust out with like a 40-point game, and they'll be like, there goes Cat, So, hopefully the next game is the game where he has that breakout game.
You know what's crazy to me is that you could have the stats that Cat has had as his first year as a Knick and still say the words, he did not get a touch in the fourth quarter. Like, he did not get a shot. Like, that's crazy to me. You have groundbreaking first-year New York Knicks stats, from threes to your efficiency to your rebound to your field goal percentage. All of those were through the roof, and yet we're still not giving him the ball. Like, that's crazy to me. Absolutely crazy.
You know what's weird is I've actually seen Cat this year yelling, "Give me the ball," before after making a shot.
Yeah.
So like, you've got it in you. Like, what is going on? You know what I mean? Like, and some of that leads me to believe, like, I don't 100% believe that the guy just didn't say anything. You know what I mean? I feel like there was a reason why. If he didn't say anything, there was a reason why. Maybe he could have been out of his mood. Because I've seen it happen where guys don't get the ball for a while, and now it's like, all right, don't even try to force him the ball anymore. I'm not in the mood to score. I haven't shot the ball. Like, I'm trying to get open. I get it. But at the end of the day, you still have to demand the ball. You know what I mean? You got to demand the ball. You're 7 foot. You're being guarded by Tobias Harris half the time. If you put Jalen Duren in a pick and roll with Brunson, that's not necessarily a good outcome for them, because he's gonna get him in foul trouble. So why not run that 1-5 pick and roll a little bit more? You know what I mean? I don't know. Sometimes I don't know what the scheme is.
Well, we're on the Nick of Time channel, right? So like, if we was playing 3-on-3, let's say us three, say versus Jay Ellis, say like two
Lee.
of the other two, two of the Lee and Ebony. Say Lee, Ebony, and freaking Jay Ellis. If we was playing them 3-on-3, you know what I'm saying? The play wouldn't be to have Phil post up, anybody down low to try to score. Guess what? This guy Apollo Reed is like 8'10", you know what I'm saying? So guess who's getting the ball? You know what I'm saying? We like Apollo wouldn't have to like demand the ball. We would be like, okay, well, they put Ebony on Apollo. Guess who's getting the ball every single time? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
they switch it,
I don't know anybody besides Ellis that probably would have had the height to deal with me on that team anyway. So like I said, that's when you run mismatches.
And that's the thing, though. Wouldn't it be on me if I'm running the point and I'm like, yo, I'm going to drive on these three suckers? When I see Apollo like towering over everybody, like, yo, I'm right here, give me the rock. Like, or even if he's not saying give me the rock, I can see him, I can see Lee, trying to do what Lee can do to stop him. And Apollo's just chilling there. Like, it would be on me to see something like that and not do something. Like,
they should have the liberty.
That would be foolish on my part to see. Yeah. Exactly. Like, it would be foolish for me to go, man, all we need is 2 or 3 points, and I could get those real quick if I give it to Apollo, or I could work really hard to drive on 3 guys. To me, that's why I was saying earlier, and people were getting a little bit like, yo, why are you throwing Jaylen under the bus? I'm like, no, I'm saying what happened that last game. Like, Cat was the sure shot, in my opinion, down low, like 3 for 3 out the gate, posting up, doing this, doing that. What is the point of us trading for a second star if he's going to play a role that's just, a rotation player instead of an actual star role? That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. What's the point of crowning somebody captain also? He's the captain of the team, so he should be able to see certain things or override the coach and say, listen, this is what's happening out there. We need to get Cat some buckets. Whatever. If Cat's not the one to demand the basketball, like, collectively, them guys in the huddle, they should be, but I just don't think, the way that the guys carry themselves, I don't think that they're like that. You know what I'm saying? Even Brunson, I don't think Brunson's like that either. It just understood that Brunson has the ball. The way that they run things, they make the 4 guys go to the corner and Brunson just standing there, dribbling in between his legs, stutter stepping, you know what I'm saying? So that's what they want to do. But like we're all saying, like, Should Cat demand the ball? Yeah, but at the same time too, like like Brunson should see it also. It's like, yo, man, I'm dribbling the air out the basketball. Nothing's happening. I'm getting fouled and stuff like that. Everybody else is cold watching. So we need to try something different. And like guy, just to use Josh Hart as an example. Remember him and Tom Thibodeau had that shouting match, on the thing. So guys do give it up for each other. So and when they get into these huddles, or maybe in practice or whatever, or maybe in the last couple of days, we don't, I wish I could be a fly on the wall. So hopefully these guys are having these conversations that, like, listen, man, we need to do something here, about Cat, getting shots, and it's not just those two guys too, because a lot of us were talking about that OG is like the key to the series. Like if OG could get busy, then we should be able to smoke these guys, which is true. So I mean, Cat should be able to get his touches. OG should be able to eat too. So there's like a, it's. I think if we had a better coach, we would be able to take advantage of these things.
I didn't want to say it. I didn't say it, but I think it's time.
Yeah, I mean, because we have too much offensive firepower to be sitting here talking about the stuff that we're talking about.
Yeah.
What's crazy? So someone pointed out he's the point guard. He's supposed to see these things, and here's the thing is, there are times for him to use his more of a small shooting guard skill sets. There are times for that. Like when we're going and we're, in a drought and they've scored the last 12 points and we need to break that, and Jaylen can put his head down and go, all right, I got to break that so that we can start scoring again. In those moments, that kind of play is needed by him, but when it's not working and you're continuing to try to find another way, let me see if I can draw contact here. Let me see if I can draw contact there. Let me see, I got stopped here, but if I go the other way, maybe I can get through these two. That's when you have to go, okay, let me play the point. Let me run an actual offense and put my team in a place that they can win. So I love when he does that, when it's the right time, but those weren't the right times. When you got OG Anunoby scoring 10 points, it's not because OG Anunoby's a bum offensively. Like, we've seen that over these last few months. We've seen how good he is offensively. It's because he's having to ride backseat. You're taking all this star power and you're saying, hey, if Jaylen doesn't get what he wants, we're going to utilize you. That doesn't encourage or empower anybody.
So this is what bothers me, right? Like, when Jalen's here, he just allows him to just dribble the air out the ball, like you said, right? Which is fine if he has the ability to do it. But like you said, it's predictable. It's predictable, so guys know what's about to happen. He's gonna get in the paint, fake, spin three, or we know Jalen's moves. So what did we do when Jaylen wasn't there? There's no way Tom Thibodeau just threw the ball out and said, go get us a win. There had to be some kind of play calls. We saw plays being called when those guys were in there. So what is going on? Like, do you not want to use your play calling because you have an ISO guy here? It's really weird, because like I said, that was for 15 games, and they're talking about it in the chat. For 15 games, we got to see this team play without Brunson. And it's not like they were getting ran off the court at all. And even in the games that they lost, they weren't getting ran off the court. There was some sets you saw. These guys were actually running plays. So why did that stop? You know what I'm saying? Like, why now when Jalen's here did that stop? You either blaming Brunson or you blaming a coach. And I'm going to go with the coach personally, because you shouldn't allow that kind of stuff to happen.
Yeah, as like somebody that loves basketball, like we all love basketball. So I mean, even just sitting on the gate at West 4th Street, we always talk about West 4th Street in New York. Sitting on the gate, looking through the gate, watching guys play basketball, watching the tournaments in the summertime. Like you can see what's happening. You can see where the ball's going to go and whatever. It doesn't take rocket science to see what's going on. So I mean, the person that has the best seat in the house is Tom Thibodeau. So when stuff is going wrong like this, and like it seems like Brunson is now doing the 1-on-1 game, like you call a timeout for a reason. You get that and talk and say, listen, man, we need to run some of the stuff that we was doing before. We got to get OG cut into the basket. We got to do this. We have to start, due to like, what is the purpose of having a head coach out there if you don't make those adjustments and bring those up and thing, like whenever they show ad libs of coaches and stuff, you say, "Oh, come on, we need to rebound the ball, players on defense, pass the ball," you always hear the cliche stuff, man, but you never hear like the strategy. Listen, man, we need to get we need to run something for OGO. We need to get I just don't we just don't see it. And it's just frustrating, from being on the outside in, because like we can't really do nothing about it, man. But basketball, I say it all the time. It's a game. It's a game. You know what I'm saying? So there's a strategy to the game. There's the rules to the game. There's when we had nobody, it was just Julius and freaking, what was the guy, Reggie Bullock standing next to Julius. The play was Julius do something and then pass it to Bullock to his left. You know what I'm saying? We had Alfred Payton, who couldn't shoot the three, so his thing was to try to get a little penetration and kick it out to the three. Like, you have to utilize your offense. Like, you can't force Alfred Payton to shoot threes if you don't shoot threes. So you have another way to try to win. So now we have these different aspects, and we still trying to play like when Julius was here like a few years ago. You know what I'm saying? So it's just frustrating, man. It's frustrating to have to.
What's crazy is you weren't here when I said it, but I was talking to Apollo, and I was like, "Is this a Tibs situation?" Because what we can see is that Tibs never held Julius Randle accountable, for those things. So if Jalen Brunson would be held accountable, like, we would hope, if the coach was like, "Yo, you need to get Cat more involved," but it doesn't seem like Tibs is the kind of person that does that with the person he's given the keys to. And so I'm looking at this, comment, and I'm like just scratching my head, because came in over 40 minutes after I made that statement to Apollo, and Khalid said, "This is all because Tibs told Brunson, this is your team. Do what you feel like." Same thing when Randall was our star. He used to use Randall the same exact way. This is all on Tibs. And I have to agree, because here's the thing is, I think Jalen Brunson wants to win. I think Jalen Brunson wants to put New York on his back. I think Jalen Brunson wants to be able to say that, he did it big in New York, in the city that, accepted him when Dallas necessarily didn't. So I think Jalen would do the things that need to be done to win. If he was held accountable. I think right now he does feel like he can do it on his own, which I think comes from the fact that he came in to a team where Randall was the one and pretty much stole that position from him, so he's got like the power to be like, they gave me this team, it's still mine. But I think if we actually held him accountable, then he would involve Cat more and OG more. And I think that as long as we play the way that we play, we are not going to contend with these big teams. Like, you cannot compare us to Boston and be like, "Oh, we have just as good players." Well, we do, but every single one of them is involved in the offense and the defense. Like, every single one of them is involved in the offense. Like, yes, Jason Tatum will take the reins, and when the game is on the line, it's most likely going to be a Jason Tatum moment. But Jaylen Brown is going to be just as involved in the offense throughout 4 quarters.
Yeah.
Kristaps Porzingis, same thing.
Well, just to piggyback that, you use Boston, they don't have those conversations there, like where like, oh, Tatum needs to demand the ball, or what's the other guy, the other second guy needs to demand the ball. No, they don't do that. They have.
He doesn't have to. Yeah.
Yeah, they have a systematic thing in place. When they played the Knicks, it wasn't just that guys were just one-on-one and Knicks weren't paying attention. No, the Boston Celtics were spread out, and they literally was in the same spots, and the Knicks could not find them, and they were just whipping our ass, passing it, flicking that ball back and forth, cutting, finding the shooters. The shooters was always open, down screen and all this stuff. They were just doing what they do, and the Knicks couldn't do nothing with it. And the Knicks did not have that same, the same what I want to say, the same poise or polish, and it's not necessarily that they've been together for so long. Basketball is basketball. You can get a team together and have them work something systematically. You can get guys going. Melo was talking about, we could run some pick and roll, this, that, and the other. Okay, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? But throughout the course of the year, 82 games and stuff like that, it's more than just like, okay, we did this all year. Oh, now when the playoffs come now, forget all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Let's just run the pick and roll thing now. That's not right, man. Even Cleveland, the way that Cleveland plays, they have a systematic style of play too. When they played the Knicks, they whipped their ass, not because they're better or anything like that. It's just because they just always have their guys in spots where whatever. And they have a new coach there too. New coaching staff and everything, and they same players, yes, but not really. They have some extra role players there, but I mean basically the same squad. But they're running a different team there, run different offense, different thing going on there. So but they were still able to put it together, systematically and to beat teams. The Knicks don't have that systematic style of play.
And this, my bad, Phil, just to double down on that, Rick. Like if I'm looking at the stats right now, the Celtics are up 9 on the Orlando Magic right now, right? Jason Tatum is not playing, so I guess that tied into why I was so close earlier.
Yeah.
But if you look at the shot distribution, number one, they play 8 guys, so we know how this is. This is basketball, just like Tibs. He's gonna play 8 guys. Peyton Pritchard's got 10 shots. Drew Holiday's got 9 shots. Derek White's got 12 shots. Porzingis got 14 shots. Al Horford's even got 8 shots. And Jalen Brown's got 14 shots. Like, you got to spread the pill. That's how you win. You know what I mean? They don't even have their best player right now. You know what I mean? Now, on the other end, let's look at the Orlando's shot distribution. No one has taken, outside of Banchero and Wagner, no one's taken more than 8 shots. Banchero has taken 23 shots, and Wagner has taken 17. So, I mean, this is a difference of how the best and the worst, you know what I mean, in the conference play basketball.
Yeah,
it's a difference.
And you see how they lost they're not even playing with their best player, and it doesn't make a difference because their system, dictates itself. Al Horford is still going to get the shots that he's going to get, that Al Horford should take. Jaylen Brown is still going to be in the same spots. They're not doing nothing different. In contrast, like we was talking about when Jalen Brunson was out the lineup, they played different. Right. And then we can go to different points in the year too, where they played different also. Right. But just for that point, when Brunson wasn't there, they played different. And then now Brunson's back, and now they playing a whole different thing. So that's the difference between the Knicks and Boston, because Boston don't play different if they lose a player. You know what I'm saying? They still play the same. The Knicks don't have that going for them.
And here's the one thing that I push back on. Some people were they're like, oh, well, Brunson's our guy, this, that, and whatever. Like, of course he's going to take those shots. Of course he's going to do that. You look at Boston. You know why they're successful? Right now, Jaylen Brown is their number 1 scorer in this game. And you're like, oh, well, that's because Jason Tatum's not there. Tatum's their 1. Yes, Tatum is their 1. But you want to look and see who was their leading scorer in that first game where they beat the Orlando Magic. It was their number 5 option in their starting lineup. It wasn't Tatum. It wasn't their number 2 in Jaylen Brown. It wasn't their number 3 offensive in Kristaps Porzingis. And it wasn't their other all-star from previous years, Drew Holiday. It was Derek White with 30 points. And everybody still ate on that squad. Like, they find a way to make sure that everyone eats. He had 30, and I think Tatum had maybe 23 or something that night, or something like that. I don't know. No, 17. So Tatum, who's their best player, still took a back seat to allowing Derek White to cook that game. Why? Because they see how the offense is moving, see who has the hot hand, and they're able to rely on each other. Like, that doesn't stop you from having to guard Jason Tatum if he gets the ball, but Jason Tatum's not going to make sure that he's the one that has to score.
Right. And most of what I was feeling was the effort thing. And like I said, that'll show up in the numbers as well. Because if you're looking at the same game, by the way, I'm not glazing the Celtics at all. By the way, just happens to be the game that's on right now. So I'm looking at the stats. But you got Jalen Brown with 9 rebounds, Horford with 8, Porzingis with 8, Derek White with 6. You know what I mean? Like it's distribution. Jalen Brown has 5 assists. Derek White has 5 assists. Drew Holiday has 5 assists. So it's the ball isn't sticking. So and this is that's kind of what I was alluding to before, is that when Jalen Brunson was out, this is the style of play that we were playing with. It was everyone gets the ball, everyone gets a touch, and we win basketball games. Like he says, the game will determine how, the coach that's Tibs said all the time. So it's when we go away from it, like, you know what I mean? Like it almost seemed like we went away from it almost all game, because we would do it a little bit and get back into the game, and now it's a 3-point game, and then it just would trickle back off to a 10-point game. So I just want to see these guys just focus in and use each other more the way we're supposed to be playing basketball. And like I said, this is not a Bass Brunson thing. Other guys got to make shots too. OG has to be better. McCall has to be better down the stretch. Cat has to be better. You know what I'm saying? He has to demand the ball in certain spots. But you know what I mean? Like you just got to play better basketball. Like if you can literally take the film session and look at it objectively, you can literally walk away and say everyone could have changed something. Every single player that played, including the coach as well, could have changed something from, for the outcome of the way the game ended.
Yeah. All right, here's a question for you guys that I really loved from the chat. One of the main reasons we caught up in game 1 in that fourth quarter was Campaign's heroics, his offensive spark, also his, defensive prowess. Why is it that we got 4 minutes out of Campaign in this last game? 4 minutes. That is the coach head scratching stuff that I just cannot understand. Like, it just boggles my mind to say that we pulled that game out because of this guy and we don't give him burn in that next game. I don't get it. If anyone has any thoughts in the comments, I would love to hear how anyone makes sense of this, because I know my guys aren't delusional, so I don't think they're going to be able to make sense of it either. But if you guys have anything that can bring us to a sensible answer on that, let me know.
Yeah, I even give it this too. Like, we need to, like, they were talking about rebound. That's one of the first things that Tom told, we got to fix the rebounding. Okay. Play precious, fam. Play precious, dude. Play one of our better rebounders that you've used throughout the year whenever somebody got hurt. Why don't you play precious? It's not that Precious is going to save anything. It's just that the extra guy out there that is capable of rebounding could maybe help out. Maybe. I don't know. Mitchell Robinson, is he still on minutes restriction? What the hell is going on here? And then like you said, like with the Campaign thing, Campaign just had a big game. He was the one that basically, helped us stay in the game during that one little part to give us the opportunity to do that 21 and 21-0 run at the end there. You need your fire. He's like a fire. Yeah, he did that to Philly too, man, because Philly didn't play him the first couple games last year, and then when they finally played him, he was killing the Knicks. He came in there with a lot of energy, and it's like, if he would have played earlier, maybe the Philadelphia might have had a spark or something. So I mean, you got to use your guys. So I mean, it's just more and more evidence that that Tom Thibodeau is just like, he needs to go, because like you cannot read the game. You cannot say that, okay, well, we got Campaign out there. Let's get Campaign going. He got the jump shot going. He got the confidence. I like what he was bringing to the table. When he gets hyped, when Campaign gets hyped, the rest of the guys get hyped too. So like what are you doing? What are you doing? I still don't understand. Like, because I mean, like I keep bringing examples of just to bring it to our level. Like if we're playing a pickup game, or if I'm in a church league or something like that, and I never played with these guys, or if I'm coaching my son's, one of my son's teams when he was younger, you know what I'm saying? I can see the kids and I can see what they can do. And I could put them in spots, and I'm watching the game and I'm seeing what we're doing right, and what I can empower the kids to help them to try to win the game. I'm watching this, and I can make changes as the game goes on. So I just don't understand, the mediocrity of the situation. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, if I'm watching, because I had that experience. I'm quite sure you guys have that experience too. To say like, the coach is not there today. We need somebody to coach the kids. Yo, you want to coach the kids today? All right, cool. You coach the kids. You never seen these kids a day in your life, but you can figure out how to put these kids in positions to win. And you never met them before. But these guys are professionals. That shouldn't be. That shouldn't be.
All right, I gotta give the comment in the chat award to the predicate for the question. Why did we not play campaign? He said load management. He was cracking on Tibs. I appreciate that comment. That was hilarious.
I mean, don't get me wrong. He did get into foul trouble. He had like 4 fouls in that short time. I get it, but like, you could have used them. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are the guys that make differences in this. If you watch even last year, who really killed us last year in the Indiana series?
Short homeboy.
Yep.
Nemhard.
Rembrandt. Yeah.
Membrane, whatever his name is, Nemhard, whatever. But it's always those kind of guys, and also JT said,
TJ McConnell,
TJ as well,
turd nugget. Yep.
Yeah. So, but it's the guys off the bench. It's the guys who are looking for an opportunity. You know what I'm saying? That they live for this moment. Yeah, they can't run an offense. Yeah, of course you can't run an offense through Nemhard or TJ or Cam or campaign. Of course you can't. But there are moments where you can get a spark out of him. I'm using him for all 6. You got 4 fouls. Cool. You got 2 more. You're not a starter. You know what I mean?
You saving him? What the hell?
Yeah, like I don't understand it. I truly don't get it. I don't get it. To me, it's use the guys. They're there for you to use them. Give these other guys a break.
We're having problems rebounding the basketball. Precious, just keep your feet on ice, man. We might need you down the road. Like what?
But I knew personally Precious wasn't going to play much in the playoffs unless someone got hurt. I just knew it. That's just how Tibs runs it. And like I said, even the Celtics, a game without just Jason Tatum, they only playing 8 guys. You know what I'm saying? So I get it, but at the end of the day, if you have a weakness, if you have something you need to be addressed, and you have it on the bench. You know what I'm saying? Like, give him 4 minutes. Give him 4 minutes. Give him the Cam 4 minutes. You know what I mean?
Hey, they're bullying us out there. Let's put Landry Shamet in the game. Hey, Landry, are you feeling good today? You want to play some power forward?
Did he play Shamet? He put Shamet in for a little bit, didn't he?
450. He played 4 minutes and 50 seconds. He had zeros across the board.
Yeah, I think because we were down so much in that game, like so often, I think he just was so scared to go away from the starters. And Tibs has a tendency to do that, to ride the starters because he's scared of losing a lead or not being able to get back into the game. So he's got to trust his guys more, man.
Yeah, I agree. That it's just frustrating, like, and I don't want people to think that like, oh, if this is your first time watching the show, like all these guys do is like complain about the Knicks and they're not real fans. Like, no, we are diehard fans, and that's why it's so frustrating. Like
after a loss.
Yeah.
My name is Diehard You.
Yeah, right? Like for real. It's actually so funny. Last season, I recorded a song in the playoffs, and in the intro, I said New York over everything. And my family still gives me hell all day, every day. My son will be like, "Oh, Dad, you say you love me so much, but isn't it New York over everything, not your family over everything?" So like, I get the little jests from my 7-year-old, who's in the room with me right now, just laughing, laughing over here. But so we're diehard fans. But at the end of the day, there's things to be frustrated about. You invest in this team and you hope for the best. And when your team gives you less than what they actually have available to themselves, it's frustrating. It's frustrating to see all the potential and all the skill sets that we have on that team, and then not being utilized in the most important parts of the game, the playoffs. And so many people gave us in the chat, like, you guys are making a big deal about this. Like, we're working on those things so that they're executed well in the playoffs. And now they're not happening in the playoffs. So what is your excuse? Like, are we still just overreacting? Are we still just making things up? Or is this an actual issue? To me, it's an actual issue.
Yeah. It's sports, man. Like they've been talking about sports since sports started. It's a social thing. When stuff happens, you talk about the action. And that's just what it is. So like if they didn't want us to talk about it, then they wouldn't be making the millions of dollars that they make, because in the United States, they have a professional soccer league, but they're not making the money that the NBA is making. Because nobody in the United States really cares about soccer. You know what I'm saying? So you want us to not talk about the NBA so you guys can not make money? You know what I'm saying? So like it's just nonsense, and I don't want to, it's not my channel. So I mean, I can't go where I want to go, but people to say, oh, the blind faith, you gotta keep the faith. You gotta keep the faith in the Knicks, blah, blah. Like they gotta be on a spectrum or something, man. Because I mean, like you're watching what happened, and I can't say like, damn, man, they why can't they run a different play? Why they keep doing the same thing? I'm not allowed to say that. Oh, you're a hater. Like, oh, come on, man.
Shout out to Dripmore. He said Tibs doesn't trust, which translates to your point guard, which trusts no one as well. Coincidence? ? And it's true. Like you could see. Here's the thing. I'm looking at this playoff series so far, and it's giving me deja vu of last playoff series, where Jalen Brunson has an open Josh Hart and doesn't pass him the ball because he does not have any confidence that Josh Hart will hit that three. Then I understood it, because Josh Hart most likely would not have hit that three. But now, when you have an unlocked Super Saiyan offensive version of OG Anunoby, you got Mikal Bridges, who can hit whatever shot in his mid-range. You have Karl Anthony Towns, who can bully his defender right now. I can't see it through the same lens that I saw last playoff, where Jalen Brunson didn't have other offensive options. Like, then it was the excuse that he had no one to pass it to. Now I can't give that excuse. So I can't accept the same product from last year because it's not the same team. We are a trade and 5 first-round picks different than we were last year. And a $200+ million contract different than we were last year. So, no, I'm not going to swallow the same pill that you asked me to swallow last playoffs.
Yeah, and another thing is so Nightcap apparently. So like,
just ignore you.
Would you not change anything about what Brunson did last game? Because this is my thing. Like, if a coach can tell Brunson that he's done something that he can make a change, then I think anyone should be able to say it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think Brunson went into that field session and was like, nah, I did everything right. I'm not changing nothing. I think Brunson himself would be like, yo, I bugged out, y'all. Because like I said earlier, one of the first things that he said in the post one, in the post game conference, and he was just saying, he said, before anyone even said anything to him about it, that's my fault on the switch on Dennis Schroeder, because he takes responsibility for the things that he does wrong. So when we address the things that Jaylen can do better, it's not to say that we don't want Jaylen here or anything. Like, there's some guys in the chat saying that they would trade him for Trae Young. Not going there.
Nope, no way.
Not going there.
Nope.
But yeah, like Jaylen could have done better. Decision making wise, that was one of the worst games I've seen Jalen Brunson play in terms of that quarter. Just decision making. You know what I'm saying? Not that he's a terrible guy. And I don't have no problem with what Jalen Brunson does half the time. You know what I mean? Because we don't have many other options. I've been saying all year, like, we don't have no other shot creator on this team. We have no one who can go get a bucket. So I'm not mad at Jalen Brunson half the time when he does these things. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm going to allow you to just do whatever the fuck you want to do while we lose a game in the playoffs. This is the playoffs. This is not the regular season. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't just go out there and fuck a game off. You know what I'm saying? Like at this point of the year when you guys should have it down pat. So like I said, most of the blame for me still goes to Tom Thibodeau. But Jalen Brunson can get some too. I'm staying with that for sure.
You know, I was looking at some highlights because I was doing some YouTube shorts, whatever. So it was the play where I don't know if you guys remember. It was DiVincenzo. He was running a pick and roll kind of thing with Hartenstein, and it was running the pick and roll, and then Hartenstein ended up getting the rebound and dunking it back in. But if you watch the play, the way that Dante DiVincenzo was penetrating, going up, cutting around the screens, the way that he he gets so close to the screener and just cuts so fast,
Yeah.
And then we don't have that element this year. We don't have anybody doing that. A lot of times DiVincenzo, I don't know if he was just taking it upon himself to do that or what was happening, but that element that we had at the time, we just don't have that anymore. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times to say like if DiVincenzo was standing in the corner and Brunson passed it to him, like he wouldn't just stand there, and look to whatever. He would make a play. And then you have other guys that are smart too, like Hartenstein, that keeps moving, makes himself available. And if he gets the ball, he can make a play too. He knows how to get to a spot, in order to draw the defense to get to move the ball. So those aspects, I think we don't have that anymore, So, I want to, I don't know, Phil popped out. I kind of wanted him to hear this too, is that, I think that maybe we might have did too much, by not trying to keep the guys we had last year. Tom Thibodeau, I think wanted Cat, and they just eventually just did it because I think they always wanted Cat on the Knicks. But I think them getting Mikal Bridges with those picks and stuff, added up to that. They just didn't they didn't have the foresight to think that maybe they might have did too much and messed up the chemistry or just the style of play that we had going for ourselves last year. We didn't replace what Dante brought as far as driving and stuff like that. We did not do that,
So with that, I always a lot of what I say about the Dante part of the trade is they didn't want to trade Dante. If anything, they were completely ready to trade Julius more than Dante.
Yeah.
And they actually didn't trade. They didn't add Dante to the trade until because they talked about that trade apparently for months, and they kept breaking down with the trade because they didn't want who they were offering. And the moment that they said okay to Dante was that's how the trade went through.
Right.
So unfortunately, that's what caused it. That was what I was upset about with the trade. I think the Julius thing, it kind of had to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I kind of expected it to happen, so I wasn't really too surprised. But Dante, I did miss. Someone else even said in the chat, Dante is not playing a lot of minutes in for the Timberwolves in the playoffs. But I mean, certain guys are not going to be as important in other systems as they are in some. You know what I'm saying? So which is why he got off the way he did here, is because we needed him to do what he can bring to the team. So, you know what I mean? I think like you said, in roster construction, sometimes you will make some moves where you think you're taking 2 steps ahead, but it's really 2 steps back, or you know what I mean? So I think they will adjust to it, but we're seeing why this iteration of the roster won't work. You know what I'm saying? And which I kind of, not to be a Debbie Downer, once we had the roster and we knew who we were gonna have, I was like, all right, well, this is a cool roster, but we need more. You know what I mean? We do need more. We need another shot creator. We need somebody else to take off that load from Brunson, so that for you guys in the chat who are saying it, he can take a load off, since there is somebody else there to give them a lift when he can't go get a bucket and McCall won't go draw some contact. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, I just think there needs to be a little bit more for what we have right now, for the team that we currently have, just a little bit more of adjusting to what we, what we're doing offensively and defensively too.
Yeah. That rebounding thing too, DiVincenzo was really good at rebounding. He boxed out really well. You know, and he was a lot of times DiVincenzo was up there, the only one jumping, you know, at some points. You know what I'm saying? So and Hartenstein also you lost with the rebounding thing. So I mean, Cat and kind of Hartenstein kind of balance each other out as far as the rebounding a little bit, but we never replaced what Julius brought to the table. You know, because when we were at full strength, if we were at full strength, I think we would have probably won the chip last year, man. That my opinion. If everybody was healthy. You know, because even like once everybody went down, we still could have won. We still could have won even when everybody went down. So you know, hey Phil.
Yeah, and you know, like for me, what's up? I think for me, you know, like my expectations and the reason I get so passionate about the things that I want to see changed is because I really do believe that this team has potential, and I think that we made big decisions. You know, the players that we really wanted to be here. And I don't just mean players that I wanted to be here. Like I think of the people that wanted Randall, you know, to be extended. Like I didn't, but that's a big thing for them, you know, to see Randall go and us like buckle down and say Cat's our guy, you know, like so for them that's a big move, you know. For me, letting go of Dante was a big move because I felt like he was one of the few guys that had that tough New York grit that we've said that we've wanted since the 90s. Him and Hartenstein were the first two guys that we actually saw actually stand up for our squad. You know, like it's easy for Cat to grab his jersey and be like, yeah, this is where I'm from, da 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 da. But when push comes to shove, I don't see that grit. You know, I don't see that toughness, that heart that I saw in iHeart and in Dante, you know? So for me, that was a big trade. That was a big thing to let and see Hartenstein walk away, you know, and go to a team that I knew was going to contend. You know, it's not like these guys went to some no-name teams like Grimes, you know, like Grimes is doing well at the end of the season, but their season was done. They were going to Cancun anyway, you know, but to see Hartenstein go and thrive and be in title contention, you know, to see Dante playing alongside the Timberwolves and them, you know, playing well, you know, that stuff's hard to watch, you know, when you're scratching your head and going, man, I expected a little bit more from what we got out of this, you know, where I thought we'd be somewhere a little bit different by now at this point in the season. So one thing I want to ask y'all before it starts getting too late is
salute to Richard Greenwich. That's my cousin, by the way.
Oh, what's up, Richard?
GUK, man. GUK.
Yeah, appreciate you being in the building. Robert Woodford, appreciate you coming out as well. Everyone in the chat, you guys have been amazing. You are part of what fuels this whole thing. If you guys can, please hit a like button, hit a subscribe button.
I think Fritz
share it with people.
Too.
Yeah, Fritz was asking.
Yeah, you can come on up before we leave, Fritz. Anybody, if you want to talk your talk and back up what you're saying in the chat, feel free to come on up before we wrap. If you guys can, hit the like button, subscribe button. If you feel like you want to bless us, drop a little super chat that helps us with, you know, paying for things like StreamYard and anything like that we want to do. Once again, I don't want to get off the show without giving another shout out to ASW for this amazing fiddler soloist. If you are a whiskey drinker or interested in getting into whiskey, check out ASW Distillery. They are absolutely incredible. Such a stellar team. But one thing I saw today that made me go, dang, was apparently, I don't know how true this is. You know, everyone's got sources and whatnot these days. I ain't got no sources, and I've been doing this for a long time. So salute to y'all who have been in this for like 16 weeks and have like 52 sources. Shout out to you. But I saw something that was saying that apparently a big possibility and something that Giannis would be interested in was trading to going to Brooklyn because he loves New York, has businesses in New York, has investment properties in New York, and that he would be interested in coming to New York. And someone was saying, how pissed off will New York Knicks fans be to find out this offseason that the 5 picks that we used to get Mikal Bridges are what the Brooklyn Nets used to grab Giannis to come and play with the Knicks. Now, Nets. How crazy would that be? Thank you, Predicate. I appreciate your love and support, man. It truly means a lot. How crazy would that feel to like know that the picks that we gave up for Mikhail landed Giannis in New York, but across the bridge?
Yeah,
that would just be painful.
That's not gonna go over well. That will not go over well. That will not. I'm telling you right now, Knicks fans are gonna lose their damn mind if he goes to Brooklyn, bro.
Lose it.
Real.
They're going to lose their mind if they use those same picks that we used to get Mikal to get Giannis.
And people are like, yo, they're still going to be garbage. And I'm like, yo, if they keep like Cam and they, use Giannis next to Claxton, that's some big power, down low. And you build off that and you get like a true PG in a trade. Like, I don't think you're the laughing stock anymore. If you get Giannis there.
Team. The Nets were a tough team last year. They didn't, they're like a bottom two on the thing, but they didn't ever gave up. They played defense and stuff. They was tough last year. If they were healthy, they might have won a couple more games last year.
Yeah, imagine they keep Cam Johnson, and they get Claxton and Giannis, and they let some of these other guys go, but they keep D'Angelo Russell on like a limited contract off the bench to run their second unit and get a real point guard to start the starting lineup. That could be crazy. So I don't know,
insane, bro. That's insane.
Oh yeah. You ruined the rest of my night, by the way. I just gotta say that. I'm trying to go to sleep. I'm gonna going down the rabbit hole like this.
Without further ado, what up, Fritz? I would love to hear your thoughts before we head out. How you doing, bro?
Mr.
Hey,
Freak.
what's up? What's everybody?
My guy, Fritz was good, bro.
Giannis to the Nets. It sounds like a wild idea. I don't think it's possible, but
I hope not.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see him. I'm not leaving my home in Milwaukee, where I've always lived, to go to another team that is at the bottom, can't sustain winning. No.
I don't know, bro. Like, you've already won a chip. You've already won. You've already been MVP. Like, what bigger story than taking a team that has not been able to win and make them competitors? Like, if all you're trying to do is win, it makes sense. But he's already won, So,
yeah.
So for me, it's a little bit different of a story.
He wants to keep.
I think he does, but he also wants a challenge. Like, he loves a challenge. Like, he's not one of those guys that wants to LeBron it and just have 30 people around him that have been all-stars before to try to win.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're better teams. I think they're more attractive teams. Brooklyn, at this point, I don't think Brooklyn's attractive.
Yeah.
No.
Because Brooklyn tries and then they fall off. They couldn't get it done with KD and Harden and.
Yeah, but that whole thing was a dumpster fire. That whole thing was a crazy dumpster fire.
I think in Brooklyn is pretty good though. I think he would come to New York just for the Greek food.
I think New York is a even though we're in the situation we are, I think Knicks would be probably higher on the list than Brooklyn.
Yeah, but we'd have to give up so much.
And we would.
We don't have the assets to give up what it takes to get him.
I think
He's gonna hand pick his team. This isn't the other negotiations where who gives me the best deal. This is Giannis hand picking a team, and you're sending me to where I'm going. And New York has to find a way to make it happen.
So I think New York, if their only advantage is if he says I want to go to New York, then what they could do is they could work out a sign and trade with them. You know what I'm saying? And I think that might be the only way for us to even think about getting Giannis. But if it's just completely a free agency kind of thing, yeah.
You can get gyros on every corner in New York.
But here's the thing. Nick Yak makes a perfect point. Like we would need to pay Giannis $60 million coming up plus picks. We can't do that. Like we can't. Like we can't at all. And so like and JT Redick said, even if we had 5 picks, which we don't have the assets unless y'all trade Hart and OG. And I don't see
And
the
they wouldn't.
Knicks doing that.
And they wouldn't.
I don't.
You said,
Honestly,
you said they wouldn't, Fritz?
Hey, you act like they wouldn't.
No, that's what I'm saying. I think they would.
I think they
here's
would
the
too.
thing. Here's the thing.
I
I
think
think the way this front office works and how this is Jalen Brunson's team, I think they would be okay trading OG more than they would be trading Hart because of Jalen Brunson. As crazy as that sounds, I think that they would be more willing to sign off on an OG trade than they would a Hart trade.
So this is my thing. If you look at it objectively, if I'm the front office and I say, and I come to Jalen Brunson, I'm like, yo, Brunson, listen up. There's some things on the horizon that you might not like. And he's going to know what that means. He knows what that means once you say that. We've gone through this before with some people in the past that you're really, really close with. But a lineup of Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, and Giannis doesn't sound too bad. I don't think Jalen Brunson's mad when he walks away from that conversation. I don't think he is. That's me personally. I think he loves his guys. He understands, but I also think he understands the deficiencies that they have. So if they have to make that move, yeah, he's going to be upset for losing his guys. But at the end of the day, like you talking about having Giannis on the team with you.
Yeah, the guys are professionals. He already lost Dante, so you can get over it.
Yeah, championship is the goal. So.
Here's the thing. It's a conversation that don't matter because we ain't got no picks.
We got no picks. It's not happening.
We still got 2. We still can get 2.
We got 2.
You really
and
think?
We got 2 in the possible. Like this playing space.
Play space.
We got 2.
You really think
you're going board
a
in the
front
draft.
office is going to look at us? You think a front office is going to look at us and go, oh man, you traded 5 picks for Mikhail. We'll definitely take 2 and some players from you guys for Giannis. No, they're going to say if you value.
That's his choice. I mean, the Knicks may have to completely, totally shuffle this roster to make it happen. But I think they make it happen.
We can cheat too. Guys are putting a lot of value on Kevin McCullough and those kids too, Pack Home and stuff. We can cheat and maybe, bank on one of those guys, stepping up and filling in a rotational role or something like that. If we're going to put so much, money into Giannis, Cat, and Brunson, that's a lot of bread right there.
Yeah. One thing that people don't really factor in, the Knicks in free agency were pretty much last year handicapped the whole time.
Yeah.
And if this is something they want to do and they do it early, they can do what Philly did. And Philly pretty much just opened it up. It's like, hey, if you're a vet, you want to come here, you want a minimum, we're gonna go for a championship. I think if it got to that point, the Knicks would gut the roster and then they would just have vets sign up.
Yeah, I think something's happening regardless this summer. I highly doubt we're gonna go into next season with either the same coach or not a trade. And I'm talking about not just a bench trade. I don't think we're gonna see Tibs and the same starting lineup kind of thing next year.
Are we ready for that though? We haven't had that happen in years. Where we would do that. Put all our put our stuff in one basket and just say, listen, we just going for it. Right? We haven't done that since Ewing was here. So
but this is the best opportunity because usually we wait until the value is not there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I mean that's.
Here's the thing, though. We can go 2 ways. We can buckle down and say, hey, with time, this roster will develop into something great. Or we can look and say, on paper, this looked a lot better than it actually translated onto the court and make a big decision in the summer.
I think the coach goes before the players. Like,
Yeah.
that's one thing. Like, the Knicks on paper assembled a championship level roster.
Yep.
Yeah.
It didn't translate. The first thing you say, hey, maybe it's the coach, and then you try it again. And if it doesn't work again, okay, it's the players.
Yeah.
But usually it's the coach who goes. And we've seen this with playing teams. We've seen it with the Lakers. They have like Shaq and Kobe, and Shaq and Kobe doesn't work. And it's like, okay, we need to get a guy, Phil Jackson, come maximize these players. I think the Knicks like this roster, and they're gonna go, okay, Tom Thibodeau couldn't get the best out of this roster. Who can I get to maximize this roster? And half a season, it still doesn't look good. Okay, it's these players. We need to shift some things around.
The Warriors did it too. The Warriors, they started with their coach.
Mm-hmm.
They made their move. I mean, the next year they trade
Kevin Martin?
No, the small forward. Why am I? He was on the Kings for a little while. Damn it.
Oh, yeah.
Harrison. What is his
Harrison
name?
Barnes. Yeah.
Harrison Barnes. Did he win a championship with them?
Yeah.
He did, right? Okay.
He won
So
one.
yeah, he won one, and then they traded him the
Yeah.
next year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I still feel like they probably felt like they could have maximized that position a little bit more. But the first thing that they did was they got rid of Mark Jackson, and then they brought in Steve Kerr, and everything that they did from then on was just tweaks to the roster. You know what I mean? And yeah, I think it's Tibs' do or die year, guys. Personally, I think this is his do or die year. You put this roster together. They didn't get anywhere near to the level you wanted them to get to, and we know how this league is. The coaches are the first ones to get blamed. So,
Yeah. I don't even think it's the result. Like, sometimes you say, "Oh, the result. It didn't get a championship to us."
no, it's not even the result.
It doesn't even look right.
Yeah, this doesn't look good at all. I don't like watching it.
Well, my hot take is I'm not anti keeping the lineup next year. I am anti keeping the coach and the enabling that he does with his star players. But I also, as much as I like him, and he's one of my favorite Knicks in a long, long time, I say this in love and respect to him as a player. I do not believe Josh Hart is a starter. And I think that is a kink in our armor. I believe that he is far better than what his career has shown him as a journeyman. I don't think that he should have been a journeyman from team to team to team, because I think that his skill sets are invaluable and can make any team contenders. But I do not believe that he is a starting lineup player. I think when he was off the bench last year, I thought that he was more so what we needed than what he is this year in the starting lineup. So me personally, I would do something to make a move in our starting lineup to fill that role. Find an actual 3 that can start on our team if we're keeping the lineup as is. I do not believe he is that guy. Matter of fact, I'd be fine moving McHale to the 3 and getting a better shooting guard alongside of Brunson, maybe someone that's a little bit taller that can help us out. But I do not believe that Josh Hart should be in the starting lineup, and that's my opinion. I think he needs to go back to the bench, running a fast-paced offense through him and through whoever runs with him, whether that's McHale getting some minutes with the bench like RJ used to do. But I do not believe Josh Hart is that guy, and I think that's the kink in our armor. You can look at Boston, and each person down the line like has their own skill sets that are starter worthy, I do not believe we can say that about Josh Hart. I do not believe he deserves that starting lineup position.
I agree.
I can agree with that too.
Damn, you guys are hurting my feelings. You know, this is my favorite Nick. We share the same name, so
And
it bothers me.
I love him. I rock my shirt of his at least once a week. Well, not at least,
but I feel you.
Once a week.
Yeah, it's a disadvantage when he's on the court sometimes. So I get it.
Exactly.
You know how you maximize what he does is that remember he was saying that he gets the rebounds that break teams. You know that the reason why he can do that is because you got Julius with 10 rebounds and you got Hartenstein that can get you 10. You got Mitchell Robinson on the court too. You got DiVincenzo that's jumping in there to get rebounds too. So you got a lot of guys that are active to get rebounds. So the guy that can really get to those hard rebounds is Josh, and so that's what maximizes what he does because those guys are boxing out. And it gives Josh the ability to get to those balls and stuff. So that's how he can be more valuable. But now that we don't have those type of players, so now Josh is like diving for balls. He's not getting the balls that he was getting last year, because we just don't have the personnel around him for that. But I agree off the bench, I think that would work. But in my opinion, I would like to slide OG to the 3 and then get a 4, somebody that can get 7 rebounds. Average 7 rebounds because OG is getting 4 and Mikhail is getting 3. We need somebody that can get us at least 7, per game to help out rebounding wise. I think that's the harder position to find. That's the harder. It's the harder to find player. I never saw the issue of putting Josh on the bench because if he comes into the game and he's performing great and he's an addition, just keep him in the game. He'll still get 30 something minutes a game. I just didn't see the reason he had to start, and it's something they never went away from all year. Right. Well, they in international play they had him as a starting power forward. So I mean, like this modern basketball got everybody like punch drunk and stuff. Like it's nice that Josh Hart can get rebounds, yes, but he's really a shooting guard. By trade, he's really a shooter. He came into the league as a shooting guard, but he can rebound really well. But that doesn't mean that he's Charles Barkley. He's not Charles Barkley. You need to get a guy in their position to do what they do. You can't just expect, guys just because they do something really well to put them in the spot and say, okay, well, he'll do it now. That's not right either,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, there's a guy that I wanted last year that or 2 years ago, last year. If he becomes available, I would once again love to bring him over to the Knicks to play that 3. I would love to see Kelly Oubre Jr. in a New York Knicks jersey. Philadelphia sucks. Bring over Kelly Oubre Jr. I feel like he can play. I feel like he can play that role well. I feel like he's got that toughness and that arrogance that we love in New York. But another one that I would take too is Kuminga. Like I would definitely take Kuminga at that 3 spot. If Golden State decides not to bring him back, but those are 2 players that I would consider for a starting lineup role because I feel like they can, set us a little higher in contention when it comes to having a solid 3. I do believe finding a solid 4 is going to be a lot harder than finding a solid 3. But those 2 off the bat come to mind as players that I would love to have, and then Josh would just be great off the bench. But we'll see. It is what it is. Let's close with talking about our thoughts of this upcoming game against the Pistons. How do you guys think we'll fare?
I'll say this: the Knicks play good on the road. We play good basketball on the road. So I think that I think going into Detroit, I think we'll show up. I think we'll give them a run for the money. I don't think the game is gonna. I mean, it could, but I don't think the game is gonna get out of hand where like Detroit has home court advantage and Knicks are gonna get like that. I think the Knicks are gonna show up. It's still gonna be bang, bang, bang. But I'm hoping that the Knicks draw the blood and get the win, because if Detroit wins 2 back-to-back, now the pressure's totally on the Knicks right now, at that point. So must-win game, yeah, man. So that's what I'm looking at. But I think the Knicks will pull it out, I think.
All right. What about you?
Me or Fritz?
You, Apollo.
I mean, I think we win this game. I think we adjust pretty well. We watch film. These guys are accountable. I think they have the right attitudes. It's gonna sound like I have a feeling it's gonna sound like we were completely overreacting once we watch the game tomorrow. I hope that's the feeling that we get. But I do think we win the game. They just don't have anything outside of the grit to beat us. You know what I mean? You got Cade and that's it. You don't have anything but Cade and the grit that you're gonna work at. So I think if we just come in and do the X's and O's, hit everything the way we're supposed to, and utilize everyone, and I think we should win this game pretty handily.
All right. What are your thoughts, Fritz?
I'm just looking for them to be like fully engaged in the game. Something that in the first two games, like they didn't look. Yeah, certain players, Cat, I think he should be fully engaged in this game. I don't. I think what we saw as fans, I don't think they could have escaped it. I think they know what time it is, and if the Knicks can't turn it on in this game, I'd be afraid.
Yeah. I'm gonna say that for me personally, I'm hoping these guys can prove me wrong, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm disappointed in what I've seen the last two games. Like, people are happy with the first victory. I'm not, because it took a miracle from campaign to allow us to win that game. And that's not the kind of thing that I want to bank on for our team in the playoffs. So for me, I think if we go in there, I think that Detroit has gone into the series with a lot more pride in themselves than we have. Like, I think they've come into and not like pride, like arrogance, but pride in, we want to prove ourselves. We belong here, and we want people to know that we belong here. And I think that they've had a little more pride in how they present themselves on the court. So I'm hoping that we took that punch in the face and we learn from it. I'm hoping we don't see ISO ball all game. And then, like, have to have another conversation like this. I personally think that we go 1-1 in Detroit. And I feel like that's important to at least snag one in Detroit, because if we allow Detroit to go up 2 games in Detroit, it's going to be a nasty, nasty time for us. So I think that, Detroit wants to prove their fans, hey, we finally got here, and this is the squad that you can believe in. And so we need to humble them the way that they humbled us the other night. So that's my thoughts. Shout out to Sherwin. Appreciate you, bro. Detroit is physically and handling our small players. They get all the 50-50 balls. I agree. I agree. We got to do something different. Tibs has to start Precious for his size and defense, move OG to 3 and Hart off the bench. I don't care what we do. I feel like Mitch should be starting these games. This is stupid to me. I feel like Mitch and Cat need more time together. But I hope that Brunson learned from this past game. JT, I love you, bro, but I disagree. I don't see it as a win as a win. Because I look at that win and say that was a blessing for us to get that win. And if we're relying on campaign, if we're relying on campaign miracles again, that's not something I'm trying to bank on. If I'm paying guys friggin' 200 mil and this million, that million, this million, I don't really want to be relying on campaign coming off the bench and winning us a game. Okay, I want the money that is in that starting lineup should be making this series a lot easier for us than they have. So I'm not going to go with the win as a win. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
It's a series, though. 7-game series.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So
This is real quick. This is a little history, right? Back in in the 80s, right? When the Detroit Pistons played the Lakers, in Game 4, they blew out the Lakers by like, I want to say, what is this, like 30 or whatever, and then they won 2 back-to-back, and they were actually up in the series 3-2. You know what I'm saying? And it looked good. They lost 2 games back-to-back, but then they end up winning the next 2 games and winning the championship in 7 games. So just saying that, using Detroit, history and stuff like that, things happen. It's a long series. Teams make adjustments, and you just have to trust your guys, what they can do, and you can still pull the series out. So just got to stick with our Knicks, I guess. But I mean,
Fritz with the baller comment: campaign miracles while campaign on the bench, it ain't gonna happen. So it gets even worse. But I appreciate you threw up here. It was a fun night. I'm gonna go spend some time with my little man, put him to bed. He didn't want to go to bed without mom being in town. He wanted to hang out here in the room and be part of the show. So I'm gonna put him to bed. I appreciate everybody in the chat for rocking with us. If you haven't yet, please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Helps us on the algorithm. But let's see what happens on this next game. And next week we will see. Oh, gotcha. All right. And next week we will see you guys Wednesday again, 8:00 p.m. If there's anybody you guys would want to see on the show, let us know so we could reach out to them, see if we could snag them for next week. But any closing thoughts with you guys?
You got a future sports analyst over there with you, bro.
For real, he's playing NBA 2K and he's like, Dad, someone just fouled me. I'm like, I don't know.
Gotta love it, man. You gotta love it. You gotta love it.
Support our guy Fritz. He just put his channel, the NBA Economy, in the chat. So follow him, subscribe to his channel, show love to everybody at the Nick of Time. Subscribe to Die Hard Eru's podcast, subscribe to the Guard Up Knicks podcast, and just support good content. We appreciate you guys, and we're gonna get to bed. Eru, thank you for coming, even after a crazy long day at work. We appreciate you, bro.
I didn't even see my kids tonight. I didn't even see my kids. They were already in the bed already.
Thank you guys so much. We appreciate you guys so much. And until next time, deuces.
Peace.
God bless you guys. Peace out.
This is the moment we waited for. Everything you want is right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Shoot 'em my shot, boy, I'm long range.